What's happening, man? What's happening? Let's talk that boxing. I know I said I was gonna go live at 7, y'all, but I had something I had to go do. Something I had to take care of, man. So, you know, we're gonna go live, man. We're gonna let a couple people get in here. We aiming for an hour. You know what I'm saying? An hour, that's how much time I got. that's, that's all I got, man. So we're gonna let a couple people get in here, bro. And then we're gonna talk that boxing talk. We're gonna talk about whatever y'all want to talk about, man. Y'all want to talk about Tank? We can talk about it. Y'all want to talk about Jake Paul? We can talk about it. Y'all want to talk about Shakur? We can talk about it. This episode for y'all, man. So whatever y'all want to talk about, we're gonna talk live. You know, we're gonna talk about it. You know what I mean? So let's get a couple people coming here. What Manager Marty say? Come in here. Come in here. Grab your plate. Sit down. I got some food for you to eat. Shout out to Manager Marty, man. You know what I'm saying? Manager Marty, man, you know, one of the pillars in the boxing community, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Manager Marty. Shout out to 2 Cents, man. Shout out to Nocturnal Boxing Thoughts. You know, these the people, man, that put me on, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I always pay homage and respect to them. You know what I'm saying? I always pay homage and respect to the people who put me on, especially Nocturnal. Nocturnal didn't have to even, vouch for my channel. He just seen my channel and just, show love, show support. You know what I'm saying? So much respect to Nocturnal Boxing Thoughts, man. OG Spiel, Keep It Trio coming down working with Will. Shout out to him. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's a lot of channels that I respect, man, that put me on. You know what I'm talking about? And I ain't looking to be no big channel, man. I'm just looking to stay in my pond, man. You know what I'm saying? I told y'all boys I'm from Houston. I'm from old school Houston. You know what I'm saying? I ain't with the friendly stuff. I ain't with the, you know, I'm gonna put people on who need to get put on. That's what it is. But let a couple people get in here, man. We're gonna talk that boxing talk, bro. We got a series of topics that we could talk about, but I'm letting y'all pick the topic. So y'all get in here, man. Let's talk that boxing talk. You know what I'm saying? You know, Timothy Bradley, bald head Bradley, he went off on Jalen Love. Like, what's up with that, man? Let's you know. I thought that was funny though. I ain't gonna cap. I thought I was laughing because he went left, and then I couldn't find the video with or anything that Jalen Love said. So now I don't know what he heard. You know what I'm saying? All I know is anybody say something about my wife, I'm not going on no internet making a video. That's all I'm saying. I'm coming to see you. You're gonna have to answer for the things that you said. You know what I mean? That's just my take on it. It ain't gangster stuff, it's grown man stuff. Right? Like, so Jalen live in Puerto Rico, he'll see me popping up in Puerto Rico. Hey bro, what you was saying about my wife? I don't care what you said about me. What was you saying about my wife though? You feel me? That's the funny part. What's good, coach? What's the
Yo,
deal?
what it is, what it is, what it is.
Man, we let a couple more people get in here, man. I was sitting there laughing at the Timothy Bradley video. Um, I don't know if you seen it. I think I sent it to you. But he went off on Jalen Love, who is Jake Paul's trainer.
Right.
And basically, allegedly, Jalen Love said something about Timothy Bradley and his wife. So
Mm.
Bradley went off and basically was like, "Hey, I'll fight you and Jake Paul in the same night, 5 rounds each, and I'll whoop both of y'all. You don't say nothing about my wife." So my response to that was, if somebody says something about my wife, I'm not gonna make no video. I'm gonna come see you. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So what is your take on that? I mean, Timothy Bradley is a real animated guy. So how did you feel about bald head? How you feel about Timothy Bradley? I mean, me just telling you about it. How did you feel about that? Like, what's your stance on Timothy Bradley going to the social media? Now, granted, the last week he was talking about he want to fight Floyd, right? So I'm starting to get the vibe that he just want to fight. He trying to come back and fight. But that's my take on it. What you think about it?
Oh, just an old head washed up looking for attention, bored, and that gave him something to do with the social media thing. That gave him he got a phone. He built this platform around boxing. Now he's starting to reach out to other areas, and now he's not everybody's gonna keep letting you slide. Somebody gonna say something to you. You know, you're an old head, bumping your gums. You really ain't done nothing spectacular in your career. You claim you did this, you undisputed, you did this and you did that. Okay, cool. That's fine. But now you're on the internet bumping your gums about every and any little thing about the sport of boxing. And eventually somebody gonna entertain you. You on here for entertainment purposes, right? Eventually you're gonna get the entertainment you're looking for. Not somebody that mentioned you and your wife, but at the same time, instead of you being the adult in the situation, you take it to social media like a child would do, like a kid would do. So all in all, y'all know where I stand with Timothy Bradley. I'm not too fond of him, and I don't really fool with him like that. So I'm just looking at it as like, okay, you on social media for entertainment. Now you got entertainment. What you really gonna do now? What are you gonna do? And like I say, eventually this is gonna happen to any and every old head that's on there bumping their gums about any and every little thing they see that pertains to the sport they're involved in. Same thing with Cam Newton, same thing with other podcasts. This is eventually gonna happen. But what are you gonna do now that you have the entertainment you've been searching for? That's how I see it. That's how I look at it. What you gonna do now? You want to fight? Okay, well, you claiming you want to fight Floyd. Now you talking about you want 5 rounds with everybody. Okay, now somebody entertain you. Are we gonna get you in the ring or you just bumping your gun? Period.
Yeah, I think he talking. You know what I mean? He's a good character. Let me just say that, man. You know, some things I agree with him on, some things I don't. You know, like when you talk about all the youngsters and the Shakurs and Keyshawn's about them going to help Jake Paul, I agree with that stance. You know, he like, hey man, Jake Paul your enemy. You know, he trying to infiltrate the real boxing here, and you want to help him beat Tank. Like that doesn't make sense. So I agree with him on that. You know what I mean? I mean, coach, I think we talked about that already. But um overall, Ballhead Bradley, man, I thought it was funny. I'm not gonna lie, but if it was real smoke that he wanted, in my opinion, you go, you ain't making no video. I'm not gonna make no video. You say something, you can say whatever you want about me. You can call me a B, you can call me whatever. But you know, once you start talking about my wife, nah, I'm coming to see you. It ain't gangster stuff. Cause coach know me. I've never portrayed myself to be gangster or tough. I'm just on some grown man stuff. We just gonna have to talk and handle it. And whatever come out of that conversation, it come out of it. You know what I mean? But I just think that Bradley just trying to search for attention. You know, he want that attention. So, you know, I thought it was hilarious though, because he was fuming. His head got bigger. You know what I mean? Yeah. But coach, the hot topic now is this Tank situation. I don't know if you've seen it. Tank is being sued by a young lady. You know, us, we don't really talk about the personal things. So now Jake Paul is looking for another opponent. Netflix is trying to get him to fight Ryan Garcia, but Oscar De La Hoya shot that down. So my question to you, coach, is do you agree with Jake Paul moving on from Tank to go find another opponent to fulfill a Tank? Or do you think that, hey, man, you ain't going to find nobody else like a Tank who can basically give you the numbers that you need? Let me know something.
Long story short, right here, I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Way before me and Capo talked about this offline, off the podcast. We was talking on the phone. We was texting about it. I said this a while ago. All this ties into when Tank got on there and he dropped the F bomb, not the FUCK, but the other F bomb that known in the world today as the worst word to say, you know, in this time in day and age with the LG Alphabet Q company, whatever they call themselves, whatever they want to call themselves. This ties back into that. You cannot say stuff like that publicly and think they're gonna let you get away with it. Yeah, they might let you walk around, roam around, make you feel like you still yourself. But again, it's always gonna come back to bite you in the behind. Now that this came up, you got to fight with Jake Paul, yada yada yay. Now it's being taken away, and all this ties back into it. And Tank is always constantly being put in a tough situation, whether he's going to jail for beating on somebody. I don't like I say, all this is alleged. I'm not really there in these situations, so I'm just allegedly speaking. But every time Tank feels like he gets a little break or he about to get a big piece of change, what happens? He's got to go to court. He's got to go to jail. Oh, he's on probation, or he can't go here. He can't leave outside of the country. Every single time he gets a chance to try to move forward with something or his boxing career, they find a way to nip it in the bud. And this ties back into what he said a while ago on the internet, openly and publicly, when he dropped the F bomb. So again, this is coming back to bite him in the behind. And first and second of all, I'm glad he don't get this fight because I don't care about the fight. This shouldn't even be done. You are known as a boxer. You hold a belt. You're active, and you choose to go and fight Jake Paul. No, you got business to take care of. If you was doing what you was supposed to be doing on your side of the fence and not messing with Jake Paul, fight Lamont Roach and getting ready to prepare to fight Shakur Stevenson or whoever else, Teofimo, whoever, don't matter. They wouldn't be bothering you as much. But they know what you finna get when you go over there messing with Jake Paul. Yes, Tank is the guy that's gonna bring in the viewers. He's gonna bring in the cash, but also Jake Paul is tied into a lot of other stuff himself. So with that being said, this is gonna happen to you continuously. Just do what you're known for. Go be a professional boxer. You don't need to be a professional entertainer. Be a professional boxer. Dress up your resume and do what you're supposed to do. Get what you're trying to get and retire like you want to. Stop trying to reach outside of the box that you built. Sometimes, thinking outside the box is cool, but sometimes with certain characters, individuals, especially ones that's publicly known and has popularity like a Tank, just do what they know you for. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Stop trying to go outside of your necessary means and do what you're supposed to do. And like I said before, I agree. I 100% agree. Jake Paul gonna fight anybody else. I don't care. Tank, you got real business to take care of. You don't need to be playing with no Jake Paul. In anyways, I'm gonna say this publicly. I think there's a bunch of stipulations in the contracts that they sign when they go fight Jake Paul. I believe in them contracts. They tell them if you want this money, you cannot knock me out in this round, or you can't hit me so hard, or you can't even attack me at all. And you can't go back and look at some of the fights and say, okay, there was something stopping him from whooping on Jake Paul. Because some of the fighters he beat, regardless of where they come from and what they done, these are professional fighters, UFC and professional boxers. You mean to tell me you can't go in there and get with Jake Paul? Come on now. It's some of those contracts that prevents them from being themselves when they get in the ring. And I know that was going to happen with the Tank fight anyway. Jake Paul was not going to allow Tank to beat him in any kind of way on a Jake Paul promotion type bid. That's not going to happen. So I'm glad it's off. Tank, get your head right. Go fight who you're supposed to fight. And if you're going to retire, retire. Whatever you choose to do, Jake Paul shouldn't have been an option anyway. That's my take on it. That's how I look at it. Everybody entitled to their own opinions, but at the same time, I'm glad him fighting Ryan Garcia. I don't care. That's cool. That's cool. Ryan Garcia to me means nothing to the sport of boxing. He hasn't done anything good with his platform. He hasn't. Well, I can't say he ain't fought nobody, but at the same time, the time he did fight somebody, look what came up. So, and that's to me that Ryan Garcia. Okay, that's entertainer fighting another entertainer. Cool, go do y'all thing. But Tank, leave it alone. Leave it alone.
It's a blessing in disguise. And that's what I've been saying. When you sit here, look, besides, his personal stuff, like Mr. Baloo said, it's exhausting and it's kind of sad. It is. I don't really discuss personal issues with fighters, right? I don't know what they got going on. I'm not for men putting their hands on women. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also knowing that, there's some women out here who are money hungry too. You feel me? So at the same time, like, we don't know the facts and details of that situation. So for me, as it pertains to, the personal stuff, I stay away from that. But as it comes to boxing, it's a blessing because if this fight don't happen, hey man, wait for Lamont Roach to fight Eastside Pitbull Cruz, and you go fight the winner of that fight. That's how that go. right? You was already rumored to possibly use looking at Eastside Pitbull Cruz before he lost to Rayo, right? Now these two dudes finna fight each other. Cool. Go to San Antonio, or you ain't gotta go to San Antonio. You can just kind of watch it on TV. You know what I mean? If Lamar Roach take care of business, boom. All right, cool. Hey, Lamar Roach, let's get it cracking. You know what I'm saying? Or hey, retire. If you're gonna retire, you tired of, boxing and all this other stuff, retire. But whatever decision you do, make that decision. Don't leave boxing alone. The thing with Tank that gets me, and look, I get it. I understand like the frustration, but at the same time, like if you're gonna retire, just do that. Right? Like just do it. We, you know, yeah, you're an exciting fighter. Yes, you a very popular fighter. And I think Tank can beat a lot of top guys in boxing. Right? We just want to see him do it. But at the same time, it's like if you're not dedicated, if your mind not right and you're not into it, just go ahead and retire. Right? I know a lot of people got an issue with that, but nobody had an issue with it when Shakur said he retired. Nobody had an issue with it when Keyshawn Davis said on his live the other day, "I'm retired." So it's like at the end of the day, we got to keep that same energy, man. You feel me? If you ain't got an issue with none of that stuff, then with them, then you shouldn't have an issue with Tank. But the problem is, and what Coach was talking about when it comes to Tank, is just a lot of hatred, right? They want to see him take an L. He on that list, right? They had a couple of fighters that was on that list: Errol Spence, Gervonta Tank Davis, Deontay Wilder, right? That's off the top of my head. Those three that when they were undefeated, people was like, I can't stand them. I can't wait for them to lose. The Charlos, both of them, right? Man, I want them to take L's, right? And then when Charlo lost, boy, they was celebrating. They thought it was over with. Then he came back and started knocking everybody out. So you got to separate your hatred from logic, and that's my whole take on this boxing talk. Is and Coach B on that same type of time. You know what I'm saying? We understand that there are certain fighters that people you don't like, you don't really care for. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't too much care for Ryan Garcia or the racist Teofimo Lopez, but they are very talented fighters, right? And I'm not gonna sit here and they go through something personal, and I'm gonna sit there and take this time to bash them and oh you're this and you're a B word and you're this. No, we gotta respect the sport, right? Like I say, I don't too much care for Teofimo. He said all that racist stuff, you know. I don't care for that. And me personally, Terrence Crawford becoming friends with him again, I felt like that was weak. I felt like, hey man, look, you said all that racist stuff, talking about you gonna feed me a banana, I'm a monkey and all this. Hey, at least one thing we gotta do is we gotta spar. That's at least what we gotta do. You know what I'm saying? That's the least we gotta do. That's the era I come from. That's the era Coach B come from. We like, hey, look, hey man, that's cool and all. You was doing that for promotion, but we still got to spar. We got to do something. Like I can't just let you go scot free. We got to work. We got to get in them hands. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. But it's like nowadays, it's like, oh, this dude come back. Oh man, I was just trolling. It's cool. And like, oh okay, man, stop playing with that stuff, bro. Nah, ain't no stop playing. I don't care if we cool. Hey, bro, look, that's cool and all, but we got to handle this. We got to get to it. We got to get in the gloves. It ain't gangster stuff. It's man stuff. At the end of the day, you're a grown man. I'm a grown man. You said something disrespectful. There got to be accountability, right? And that's the problem with today, right? But to tie back to Tank, man, like it's a blessing that if this fight falls through, it's a blessing. I I didn't want this fight. Coach B didn't want this fight. We didn't want Tank. Nobody wanted Tank to fight no Jake Paul. Jake Paul needs to stick to YouTubers and old UFC fighters. That's what he needs to stick to, right? And Nickelodeon fighters. That's what he needs to stick to. All this fighting real fighters. He fought a real fighter last time he lost. And Tommy Fury. So I'm just saying, like, it's it's a blessing. If this fight and I'm not I'm not saying it in the sense of to hate on Tank, right? Because Tank gonna get a career high payday. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like Tank can get that fighting Lamont Roach, right? Tank can get that fighting Shakur, possibly. You know what I mean? Well, you know, Shakur is a sparring partner. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I just think, man, the whole Tank situation is crazy. And then, Oscar De La Hoya shooting down that Ryan Garcia stuff. I mean, rightfully so. Ryan Garcia is coming off a loss to Rolly. So, what would Ryan Garcia need to focus on getting back right in boxing. And Ryan Garcia has never been a champion. Yes, he got names on his resume, but he's never been a champion. So he need to focus on that. You know what I mean? And we're gonna talk about Ryan Garcia because De La Hoya was talking about this the other day. He talking about these young fighters ain't did nothing. They get a couple of followers and they get these career high paydays and they feel like they made it. So coach, talk about that. Talk about the aspect of these young fighters. I know we addressed it on our channel, but we on the live now. Talk about these young fighters. Is there a reason why because these young fighters are getting paid so early, they're lacking that hunger and feeling like using boxing politics to not make fights. So now these promoters got to go get these old heads. I mean, let us know how you feeling.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, you kind of you hit the nail on the head. That was my first, train of thought when you asked me the question. The lack of hunger in the younger fighters, the younger generation of people in general. The lack of hunger, all their hunger lies within money. You know what I'm saying? As soon as they get a bag, the hunger goes away. They don't care about accomplishments. They don't care about who they beat. They don't care about what they're gonna look like when it's all said and done. All they want to do is sit back and say, "Hey, I got paid." I don't care what they're talking about, which is cool. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, you want to get paid, but at the same time, if I'm gonna pour my blood, sweat, and tears into a sport like boxing, and most of these guys that are professional have been doing it since they were knee high. If I'm gonna do something from knee high, and I know the chances of me stepping in that ring get smaller and smaller, which with each and every year and each time I step into the ring, yeah, I want the bag, but at the same time, at the end of the day, when I go to hang up the gloves, when I choose to say, hey, I don't want to be wrapped up no more. Hey, I don't want to lace up another pair of boxing shoes. Hey, I don't want to put on another cup. I don't want to touch no more headgear. I don't want to feel no more difference between 16 ounce, 10-ounce gloves, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, I want to look back on my career. I want the fans to look back on my career. I want the haters to look back on my career. I want my coaches, my training team, my medical staff, all the way from A to Z to look back on my career and say, dang, I was a part of one of the greatest of all times career. I want the names to be there. I want the championships bouts to be there. I want the of course the money comes with all of that. I want I want everything to be in line, in place when I go to retire. The newer generation, their lack of hunger kills them because, like I said, once they get the bag, they feel like they're full, they're fat, and they ready to sit back and show off what they got in their driveway. They ready to show off how many bedrooms they got in their crib. They ready to show off how many times they went to party in a different country. They want to show off the shoes, the clothes, the bag, the females, whatever. Like when they get paid one time, the hunger goes away. It goes away. They feel like they sitting at the top of the world. They got their own throne. They made their own chair. They built their own castle. But then when they finally get in there with somebody who finna tarnish all that, it's like, yeah, you guess what? You got paid early, but now you fighting somebody who really ain't got a big name, and they giving you trouble, and you draw, you lose, or you got to resort to something to try to tarnish what they did in the ring against you. Like, no, bro, y'all gotta reignite the true hunger and the true fire of to what it is to be a professional boxer. Yes, the goal is to get paid. Yes, yes, yes. I 100% agree. The goal is to get paid, but that at the end of the day, if I'm this is for this is an example. Excuse me. If I'm Tank, I'm not retiring off the money I got in my pocket. I'm retiring off the names I knocked off the list. That's when I'm gonna retire. Okay, I'm gonna continue to get paid because I am who I am. I'm Tank. People gonna tune in to see me win or lose, so I'm gonna get paid regardless. But eventually, I'm gonna get sick of that. I want to tune in. I want people to tune in to see me lose or beat a Shakur. I want people to tune in to see me beat or lose to a Lamont Roach, who I already got a draw with. I want people to tune in to see me win or lose against a Devin Haney, a Teofimo Lopez, whoever, El Rayo. Some names of those natures that makes them look back on my career and say, hey, in the beginning, he was kind of like he was always a solid boxer, but he ain't had a name. But if you look at the last 5, 6 years before he retired, look at the names he got. Look at the champions he beat. Look what he did. He went and did the unthinkable. Something we never thought about. They don't have that same hunger. They just want to, like I said, they want to sit back and beat on all these B-side, C-side fighters, get paid for it, and feel like they accomplished something just because of the money they got in their account. Like I say, that's the ultimate goal, of course. But at the same time, you can't put all your principles and morals into, oh, I got paid a meal. I'm the best to ever do it. Or I retired undefeated and I got a couple meal to go along with it. I'm the best to ever do it. No, that's not how that works. And that's another thing. We say this all the time. Me and K-Po say this all the time. On K-Po's channel and over on Clutch Factory. The fact that these guys really hang their careers on retiring undefeated kills me. Because if you're going through the gauntlet, and hell, sometimes you might not even go through the gauntlet. You might run into a fighter that's on fuego in the early stages, and he was just a better fighter than you on that night. And then after that, you know what I'm saying, he beat you. But let's see how that guy you lost to career progresses, and then we can go back and say, okay, he actually took a L against somebody who represented themselves well, and they actually got an elite, resume to look at. But at the end of the day, like, stop hanging your hat on going retired undefeated. Like, if you really doing what you're supposed to do and you fighting all the best competitors there is within your division or within the sport of boxing, you bound to take a L. You bound to have a draw. If you go through your entire career unblemished, and I'm not including Floyd into this conversation, then you got to go back and dissect and kind of look at those guys' resumes. Like, you went undefeated. Were you really supposed to go undefeated? Did you fight who you really were supposed to fight when you were supposed to fight them? That's a key point. Did you really fight who you were supposed to fight when you were supposed to fight them? That's highlighted. That's notated. That's an asterisk. That's in bold print. That is an important standpoint. That is an important foundation when you going back and you trying to consider somebody as one of the pound for pound greatest to ever do it. You know, but at the same time, like I say, stop hanging out heads on retiring with a zero next to your name. I'd rather you retire with 3 losses and you didn't took a L to somebody that's a Bam Rodriguez. You didn't take a L to somebody that's a Virgil Ortiz. You didn't take a L to somebody that's a Charlo. Even you took an L to somebody like Earl Spence. You didn't take an L. There's plenty of names out there that you can take L's from, and it won't affect your career because why? The loss aged well, or the win aged well. So it is what it is. But stop hanging out heads on, I want to retire with a few million in my pocket with a zero next to my name, because at the end of the day, that's not all you should be aiming for. You got to reignite the true hunger and the true fire in the sport of boxing. And there's too many of y'all that are able to do that. And y'all just not standing on business, and y'all not taking account for the position that y'all put yourselves in. They're not really understanding and realizing why, because these days everybody can reach stardom fast, furiously, and early. But before you know it, they done all that so fast, their career didn't took a wrong turn, and now we talking about them in a negative way. And there's plenty of names I can bring up. The Tank with the Lamont Roach situation, the Devin Haney with the Ryan Garcia situation, hell, Ryan Garcia with the Rolly Romero situation, hell, Teofimo when he get in there and he don't look as good. The Shakur Stevenson, there's plenty of names we can throw out there. Deontay Wilder, you know what I'm saying? The list goes on. That's not, and I'm sorry I keep naming black fighters, but there's other fighters out there that you look at him and it's like, okay, he was moving fast and furious, and when he finally got there, he died. He died off the scene fast and furiously. You know what I'm saying? So these young fighters got to understand and take notes as they move along through their career to make sure they're actually following the plan of being the greatest of all time to do it, the pound for pound best fighter to ever do it. They got to follow the format that's been put there before them. Because if you go back and look at the Sugar Ray Robinsons, if you go back and look at the Sugar Ray Leonards, if you go back and look at the Ali's, the Foremans, the Frazier's, the Floyd Mayweathers, they put a plan into into the world. They put a vision out into the world and they spoke on it. They followed it. The money came, yeah, back in the day, the money wasn't as big as it is today. But at the same time, they put a plan on the forefront, on the front porch. And each and every day when they walked out of their front door, they picked up a piece of that plan and they took it with them along on their journey on that day and they accomplished something. These fighters aren't doing that anymore. They have two goals. I want to retire undefeated and I want to make money. That's it. But just because you make money and you retire undefeated doesn't mean you did the best you could possibly do in your career. And that's why I stand at on that point right there.
Yeah, a lot of these dudes, man, they talking about it, they ain't being about it. And that's another thing. They think because, oh, I want to fight this dude, right? I want to fight this dude. I want to fight this dude. Okay. Well, did you reach out to his team? Nah, but I let him know I want to fight him. That's not how this stuff works, right? If you really want to, if I want to fight somebody, I'm going to go reach out to his team. Hey, man, we want to fight. I don't need to talk about what I need to talk about publicly, right? Prime example, Oshaki Foster on $1 million worth of game said that he wanted to fight Keyshawn Davis. So he reached out, he told Bob, and they reached out to Keyshawn Davis, and they was going to make a fight happen. But they couldn't get the numbers right, so it fell through. That's how you do. That's how I know you want that work. You see what I mean? That's how I know you want that work. When you sit there, what's good, Jay Will? When you sit there, what's good, Lee? When you sit there and you basically put action behind what you're saying. All right. We didn't know that until he came out and said it the other day. He was like, oh yeah, I was gonna fight Keyshawn Davis. We was in negotiations, but we couldn't get the numbers right. So I had to go another route and he went another route. You see what I'm saying? That's a fighter that want to be great. That's a fighter that wanna challenge himself. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean. You know what I'm saying? It's about putting the action behind it. It's about going and making these fights. You see what I'm saying? You can't keep talking about, oh, I want to fight this dude, but no, go over there. Go over there. And that's the problem I have with a lot of these fighters. They don't go over there. They don't put no action behind nothing that they saying. Right? They don't put nothing about, you know what I mean? And then, like King Larry said, you got dudes like Turkey who paying these guys all this money, right? And then they get the money, and then it's like, I made it. What? And then you'll have a young, hungry lion, right, who want to fight him, right? And he ain't did nothing yet. He ain't did enough. What? You ain't did enough. What are you talking about?
Right.
It be a lot of these dudes that be saying that, man. Like, me personally, like Shakur Stevenson, I'm not gonna lie. You're a sparring partner, bro. Right? You put that title on yourself. When you went and sparred Jake Paul, when they asked Devin Haney the same question, he started laughing. They said, "Hey, would you go help Jake Paul?" He said, "I'm cool with Jake Paul," but and he started laughing. When you're that guy, when you know you're that guy, man, I'm not going. No, no. Shakur Stevenson is a sparring partner. He out here, being a sparring partner for people. You feel me? So, but he getting these career high paydays or these good little paydays, and he feel like, oh, so he got Javier Herrera, who's an undefeated knockout artist, who got just as many fights as him, and he like, oh, he ain't did enough, huh? What are you doing right now? You fighting Padley? You fighting Williams Zepeda, who they hyped up? Are you kidding me? So these are the things that I'm talking about. Even with Tank. Tank, you know what I mean? He ain't fighting the names either. Right? Now, granted, I've said this before. Do I feel like Shakur is deserving of a Tank fight? No. But he a champion and he talking. There's nobody else at that weight class. Hey, you got, Shakur, Keyshawn moved up. Because I feel like Keyshawn, was more exciting and more deserving to fight than Shakur. In my opinion. That's just me. Y'all disagree with me. So all I'm saying at the end of the day, to be truthful, is these young fighters, bro, they talking about it, but they not being about it, man. That's just what it boils down to. John Wick say, Cool said, I want to fight Tank. I'm going to wait till I'm a free agent and not go to PBC. Jay Will say, you against fighter sparring to get better, or you mean Jake Paul only? When you're a top guy, because you can fill in whenever you're ready. When you're a top guy, you don't see Floyd going to work with, I don't know, in his prime, he wasn't going to work with Zab Judah, right? Zab Judah finna go fight somebody, and Zab Judah like, hey, I'll bring you my camp, I'll pay you money. He not doing that. Right? Now, I get it, like, if y'all cool and y'all just working, like y'all working together, then yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm not only talking Jake Paul, I'm talking about period. When you're that guy, nobody can bring you in as a sparring partner. Now, if y'all cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, Shakur is cool with Terence Crawford, right? They spar. Okay? But Shakur don't call Terence Crawford and be like, hey, man, I need you to be my sponsor. No. Terence Crawford, he'll just show up to camp, and then they work. You know what I'm saying? They work. They'll spar. You know, Errol and Jamel Charlo, when they was both under Derek James, they worked. Right? But Errol wasn't personally calling Jamel, hey, Jamel, what's up? Yeah, what's good? Yeah, hey man, I need you to, I pay you, da. No. Right? It's more like, hey, iron sharpens iron type of thing. Right? I know I'm that dude. And you know you that dude. I'm not nobody's sparring partner, bro. Now we wanna if we come in and we just wanna work, you there and you like, hey bro, let's work real quick. I bet. Yeah. But Shakur Stevenson purposely went to spar with Jake Paul because he wants to see Gervonta Tank Davis lose. Shakur Stevenson is purposely doing little sideways stuff like that, right? In which Devin Haney, like I said, he was like, I'm not a sparring partner. Like, he laughed at that. That boy said, King Larry said, I thought Shakur's hands was messed up. Hey, man. Hey, that's what they said. They said his hands was messed up for the rest of 2025. He ain't fight till 2026. I mean, they did say that, but he ain't here sparring. And he sparred the OTX promoter too. I think that was like a month ago. He sparred the promoter of OTX. I don't know. They say his hands is messed up, but he's sparring a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how hurt your hands is. I've hurt my hands. When your hands is hurt, you ain't punching nothing. So I don't know how truthful that is. Maybe they just saying that so he don't get no other fights. Shakur look like a clown doing this with Jake Paul. He do. I mean, we talked about that. It's sad, bro. And then he putting hashtag hate me. Like, bro, what are you doing? This is what gets look, this is what bothers me about Shakur. And coach, feel free to cut me off whenever you feel like you need to.
Yeah.
Shakur Stevenson will sit here and clout chase and then come up with this narrative that, oh, y'all hating on me. And it's like, dude, look what you doing. You doing lame stuff. You doing stuff that you'll get charged up on the street. Why are you sitting here doing all this foolishness? And then you trying to put it as if like, oh, everybody hates me. Don't nobody hate you. We just talking about the stupid stuff you doing. We talking about the crash dummy stuff that you doing. And nobody's hating on you. If you stop doing that sucker stuff, then nobody will have nothing to say. But you do sucker stuff and then try to play the victim. It's like, no, bro. And this is the thing. He got all these examples and role models in his camp. He got Terrence Crawford. He got Andre Ward. He got Floyd be fooling with him. Like, bro, you got all these examples of people who can guide you, and you doing sucker stuff. And then you doing that. That's my brother. I love him. He got me right for an hour. I would never fight Keyshawn. Anybody who asks me about Keyshawn, I'm gonna fight them. Oh, really? When are you gonna fight Keyshawn? Hey, coach, can you ask Shakur Stevenson when is he gonna fight Keyshawn? Everybody in the comment section, just ask Shakur Stevenson when is he gonna fight Keyshawn. Shakur, are you gonna fight everybody in the comment section and these two grown men on the panel?
It's crazy. It is. I look at it like this: the whole Jake Paul situation, from Tank's point of view, Shakur's point of view, and everybody else who's tired of this whole situation right now. My main question, in theory, is what did Jake Paul do for any of you, from Tank all the way to Shakur, to get y'all to openly and respectfully want to help him continue to do what he does? Tank, what made you want to fight Jake Paul? I get it, you got your reasons. The sport of boxing is sometimes the fans really don't love you. You don't have the same fire. You don't have the same desire. You just want to get some money and retire. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. But what made you want to say forget boxing entirely and go fight Jake Paul? Shakur, what how do you even feel knowing that somebody who wants to be a professional boxer, who is posing to be a professional boxer, calls you up and says, "Hey, Shakur, you want to come help me beat Tank?" How, like that makes you feel good? That makes you feel good enough to accept an offer like that? With you supposed to be with you supposed to be Shakur Stevenson. You're supposed to be the one of the best in this era. But yet, an entertainer, a YouTube, a Nickelodeon guy can call you up and say, "Hey, I would love for you to be my sparring partner," and you get up and run. What's wrong? Where, like I said, that ties back into what we was talking about earlier. Where is the actual hunger? Where's the true fire at in these fighters these days? Like I said before, if I'm Tank and Jake Paul poses a fight, bruh, you got the wrong one. Don't contact my line no more, or anybody else involved in my camp asking me to fight. You're not on my level. You can't get on my level. You want to do that? Okay, go professional, beat some guys, and then maybe we can talk. And if I'm Shakur, you call me and ask me to spar. Hello? Who is it? Oh, this is Jake Paul, man. I'm trying to see if I can throw you a couple dollars to come help me beat Tank and spar with me. Bro, who the F you think you're talking to? Who you think you're talking to? Do you know who I am? I need you to come carry my bucket up here for my trainers with my mouthpiece and take off my robe when I get in the ring. That's what I need you for. Don't call me and ask me to spar with you. What's wrong with you? And you want me to come help you beat Tank? No, I'm trying to beat Tank. Matter of fact, how about you get out the way so I can fight Tank? That's how I'm looking at it. What's wrong? These young minded guys, man. These young guys in the mind, when it comes to dollars and notoriety and publicity and all that, they do anything. They down for anything. They down to do anything. They down for the cause, no matter how it hurts their career, no matter how it negatively affects their career. They're down to do it. If I'm Tank, Jake Paul, don't call me. I'm not fighting you, bro. You ain't done nothing in your life to even deserve to be in the ring with me. And if I'm Shakur, bro, no, you can lace up my fight shoes. You can help me tie up my gloves, or you can watch me get wrapped. But me sparring and helping you beat Tank, no, that's who I'm trying to get in the ring with. No, bro, we got issues right there. I'm trying to be a great, and you prevented me from being a great because you in the way, and you giving this man an expedition fight, and he holding the belt. I need that belt. What are we doing here? What are we talking about? It's just strange. Like I said, the hunger is the true hunger to be the greatest to ever do it is not within these fighters. And I get it. Each fighter has their own reasons of why they choose to go down different paths. Tank's is completely different from Shakur's, and I get it. But at the same time, you can't let any and every little thing steer you off the path of why you joined the sport of boxing. And initially, before the money, before the fame, before the notoriety, before the popularity, it was just to be the best guy in your area. And then once you go from being the best guy in your area, you go to be regionally known. And then after you regionally known, you worldwide known, then you Olympically known, then you professionally known, and then when you retire, you want to be known for the guy who did the unthinkable. He beat all the best fighters and the elite fighters within his time frame when he was relevant to the sport of boxing. And guys are not hungry to do that anymore because there's so many different avenues and alleys and back roads for them to get paid or get publicity. And it's irritating. It's annoying that we keep, and even as fans, we keep letting these fighters off the hook. That's why I'm glad Capo asked me to join him and talk about the sport of boxing so we can present a truthful and factful side to what the sport represents these days. And it's no hunger. It's no intestinal fortitude. They got no kahunas. And as soon as something goes wrong, as soon as they take a L, as soon as somebody says something they don't like, they react in a negative way. They start crying. They start acting like little cats in the neighborhood, jumping over the fence, ready to scrap with any other cat, or ready to mate with any other free cat that's walking around. Like, no, that's not how this works. If you the big dog, if you the big cat on the block, then be that. Go do what you're supposed to do. And like I say, it's just too many avenues, there's too many back roads, there's too many different alleys, along with social media that gives these guys all the reason to continue to do what they do because they feel like they can manipulate the system. And that's another thing. The system is broken, and they're allowing these fighters to manipulate the system in a way that's not fair to the fans, and it's not fair to other guys who are actually trying to be great, dare to be great. And even if they don't do it, they still not giving them opportunity because these guys go win one belt, they win one lopsided fight, and they get paid, and now nobody's done nothing enough to fight them. Like, bro, what do you mean? You ain't done nothing. Who granted you the opportunity to even say, to tell another guy that's on the opposite side of the fence, hey, you ain't done nothing. You ain't done enough to fight me. None of y'all in this day and age really have done enough to say anything to each other. So how about y'all stop all the chit chatting, all the extra talk, all that finger typing, all that Twitter hype, and fight each other. It's simple. We're not getting that. Like, I don't understand why they're making the sport of boxing hard. It's not that hard. You go into talks. The talks lead into promotional teams meeting up. Okay, once everybody meets up and agrees, okay, let's sign a contract. Boom, bam. All right, cool. Our name's on the dotted line. Let's introduce it to the public. And when it's time to fight, let's fight. No excuses, no backstories, no backlogs. When the fight is over, if you lose, you lose. Don't come here and talk about on my shoulder or my forehead. Oh, I had something to drink 2 nights prior and I had something in it and I didn't know what it was, but at the same time, it ended up being. Nobody wants to hear that. Why y'all making the sport so tough? It don't have to be that tough. It can be the same way it's done in the amateurs. You put your name on the paper. Once you get somebody matched up, you beat that guy, you move up, and you keep fighting stiffer. You keep fighting stiffer and tougher competition until you get to the top. They making this sport of boxing so hard. They making it seem like it's so hard to get two good guys in the ring when it's really not. It's really not at all. It's really on y'all as the fighters that are making it hard. Oh, I'm better than him. Who did he beat? Oh, I got more money than him. I'm going to bring the views. Or I got the belts. Or I beat more champions. Or I feel like I done more. Like, nobody cares, bro. Y'all get the best and the best in there and settle all that with y'all hands. Take off the headgear, put on the 10 ounces, stop all that talking, get in there and scrap.
Like that, like that. Uh, Leander said, I wonder if Bernie would call Shakur out for that move to go on Jake's camp. Truthfully, I don't think so, man. I don't think Bernie gonna do that because he cool with Shakur, right? And Shakur's sensitive, man. He ain't gonna do that to Shakur. You know what I mean? He ain't gonna do that to Shakur, man. He's sensitive. You know, Bernie said that Shakur gonna want to fight him. You know, he gonna he gonna go left on Bernie. You know what I'm saying? I just think that, man, when it come down to the Shakur Stevenson, he's not as mentally tough as a lot of people try to make him to be. He's a good fighter. He's an excellent talent, but I think he's mentally weak, and that's why he has Keyshawn and all these people around him to kind of build his ego. I mean, if you look on his Instagram, he posts people comments, and all the comments he posts are people like really glorifying him, like, "Oh, Shakur is better than Floyd. Or Shakur's defense is better than this." Like, bro, stop sack chasing this man, bro. You know what I mean? You know, like it's look, Shakur's a great. I won't say great. He's a good talent, right? Good fighter. It's just time for him to stop talking and really put up what he trying to say he is. You know what I'm saying? He got Big Bro. Big Bro just became 3-time undisputed, right? You got everybody in your corner. Floyd, Andre Ward, Bud. You got all these good fighters, these legends in your corner, and you still fighting on Thursdays and Fridays and Tuesdays, right? And you got people walking out your fights, and you still talking about Tank, right? I saw John Wick. He said, man, that dude went backstage to take a picture with Tank after the Rolly fight, and then went on Twitter and started hating on Tank.
Mm.
Where they do that at?
Mm. Mm.
So it's the principle of the whole thing, man. It's buddy moving kind of sly. But G5 Huncho, what's good with you, brother? What you got, man?
What it do? What it do, man? Nah, just came up here to kick it with y'all, man. Talk boxing.
What it is,
Uh,
my boy?
Hey, what's good, coach?
Chilling, chilling.
What
Man,
we on? What we on right now?
we talking about Coor, the
Okay.
whole him going over there helping Jake Paul, his
Yeah.
disdain and dislike for Tank. I mean, give your perception, give your side. What you think about that whole situation?
Okay. I mean, I think y'all kind of touched on it. Shakur, I don't like everything Shakur does. He does kind of give me petty vibes and immature vibes. He's still real immature. Like I do like Shakur as a fighter. I like how he calls out the names, but the way he goes about his business, I'm not all in favor of it. Like going in there to help Jake Paul because you can't get the Tank fight. I mean, I can't 1K get down with that. I mean, just stay down, do your thing, fight who you need to fight. But it looks like he's clout chasing. He's still kind of clout chasing off a Tank, which I can't get down with. Like he's doing good. You fought Zepeda, go fight a few more names. Like you just keep going that route. Go stick with the fighter route. Stop getting into the antics and this little publicity stunt. That's how I feel about it.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that I thought I would agree with you. I just think, man, like he got to write his own path. You know,
Hmm.
everybody is everybody is wanting that Tank payday, right? Okay. Now there's some people that really believe that they could be Tank, but everybody wants that Tank payday, right? But if he's not gonna fight you, why beat the dead horse? Go fight everybody else around him, right? His heart ain't in boxing no more. So why try to shame him into fighting you, right? Like at the end of the day, Tank, he gonna do what he want to do. He got that. He got his money. He moving how he moving. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. You know, we can't force him to fight who we want to fight. So at the end of the day, why would you sit here and start your career and going to help Jake Paul being a sparring partner? I gotta say that again. Being a sparring partner and you know, just to be spiteful to Tank. Like, dude, you got Keyshawn Davis, right? A dude that you talking about, that's my brother. I love him. He give me right for an hour. That dude right there, that's your, hey, that's a good fight. I don't understand. But it's like Shakur, the thing that I noticed, and y'all feel free to chime in. The thing that I notice about Shakur is anybody that's a danger to him out of these young groups, he makes sure, hey, you my bro. Hey, you my brother. Keyshawn, you my brother. Cause I honestly think Keyshawn can beat the brakes off Shakur. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think he's that talented,
Mm-hmm.
right? But Shakur put his arm around him. Hey, I love you. You my brother. You my bro. Abdullah Mason. Hey, I love you. You my bro. You're my brother. Hey, man. You know, any young fighter that can pose an issue to him, he put his arm around him. I got a problem with that. I don't feel like, look, you could be cool with guys. Floyd was cool with Zab, but hey, when they got time, when they need to fight, they fought, right?
You know, I don't mean to throw. I'm gonna throw a curveball right here. You know, with this generation of fighters that we're dealing with, I mean, we can point a lot of fingers in a lot of direction, but a lot of people who just now, started diving deep into the sport of boxing. When you go back and look at the tail end of Floyd Mayweather's career, now that he's been retired for quite some time, a lot of people always lean on the excuse of Floyd Mayweather ruined the sport of boxing. He ruined the next generation of boxing because he retired with an undefeated, unblemished record, and he also politicked towards the end of the career. Now, when I say that, remember I mentioned people just now started to dive deep into the sport of boxing, and when I say just now started diving deep, they probably came in towards the last few fights of Floyd Mayweather's career. So a lot of people lean on that crutch of Floyd Mayweather ruined the sport of boxing because they only seen the tail end of Floyd Mayweather's career and how he operated. But yet we have seen fighters like Shakur, Bud Crawford, Tank, Devin Haney, Teofimo, et cetera, et cetera. We have seen these guys become professionals, and now they try to politic like Floyd did through their entire career, and they're not getting the same results. So basically, what I'm asking is, do y'all think this is the Mandela effect of what Floyd did? Towards the tail end and headed into retirement, do you think these guys are trying to operate too much on what Floyd did toward the end of his career and them not actually paying attention to what he did throughout the beginning and the middle of his career? Because fans don't seem to understand that there was a pretty boy Floyd and then there was a money Mayweather. Fans don't understand that part. But you got guys trying to be a money Tank, a money Shakur, a money Bud Crawford, a money Teofimo Lopez, a money Devin Haney, a money whoever. Guys are trying to be that immediately, but yet they haven't put in the actual true hard work and grind and grit of the champion. So my question to y'all is, do y'all think this is the Nelson Mandela effect of what Floyd did towards the tail end of his career?
I think it's a little bit of that, but I also think it's the nature of the boxing business and how they treat black fighters once they take a L. We've seen it with the Devin Haney's. We've seen it with a bunch of these fighters, right? We get held to a whole different standard in the boxing game. You got guys like Virgil Ortiz that really ain't fought nobody, and they're still getting touted like the next hottest thing, even though he had a arguable loss to Boachuk. Um, if a black fighter get in there and he take a L, you throw him to the wolves. But if a Mexican go in there and take a L, he's still hot. He still can make a name. He can still have a fan base. Black fighters in America are one of the few. You go in there against anybody that's not black, you damn near get booed. In
Right.
America, you fight a Mexican, you get booed. You fight a white guy, you get booed. The only time you get cheered on is if you fight another black guy. Then they're like, all right, bet. It's the, you might as well just pick one here. But it's kind of like a lose-lose situation for black fighters here in America. It's not really the same in the UK, but here in America. So it's a little bit of the Floyd, but it's also what they see when they go into these fights and the whole crowd against them in America. When they see what happened to Dev, even though Ryan cheated, you see how Dev get treated. Of course, I don't agree with the suing and all that, but I think it's a little bit of Floyd, but I think it's also what they see in the gym every day, what they see when they go to these fights. It's hard for us to get the respect.
True. Oh, correct. Correct. I can stand by that. I agree with that. Capo, how you feel about it?
I agree with everything y'all said, man. Huncho hit it on the head about just black fighters. We're held to a different standard. You know, Loma lost. He still was looked at the same. The narrative is like, oh, he he fought another good fighter. He just couldn't win, right? Even like we'll use Crawford. Let's say Crawford lost to Canelo, right? Um, I feel like he would have probably faced a little bit of backlash, right? And truthfully, because of the fact that hey, why did you go up 3 weight classes? And they probably would have came at him in that manner. But if let's just say I don't know, let's say Virgil Ortiz did that and he went up and he lost, oh, he dared to be great. So it's like different
Right.
narratives for black fighters than it is for you know than it is for I would say a white fighter, a European fighter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you hear Paulie Malignaggi, he talk about black fighters. He be saying some racist stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know Paulie Malignaggi on, but you know, it's like we're held to we have to win, right? So I understand the mindset of the young fighter now. That mindset is like, look, I gotta stay undefeated to keep this money coming in. Whereas the white fighter, or I won't say the white fighter, European fighter, if they lose, they may still get paid the same. You know what I mean? They may still be looked at the same, right? So I definitely agree with that.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna say this: heavy as the head that wears the crown. Right. I get what y'all saying, but at the same time, us being the predominant, the most dominant in the sport to this day and age. You got your great Mexican fighters, you got your great European fighters, you got your great UK fighters, you got your great Chinese, Asian, whatever there is out there, African fighters. They have their greats, but to this day and age, when you look at the list, it's mainly the black Americans that's at the top of the list. So with everything that y'all said, I agree wholeheartedly, 100%. With the narrative and the double standard with the black fighters, I think with that being said, since that's going to be the way they treat black fighters, why do black fighters steer away from each other so much? Why do they? Well, I'm not going to say why. I'm going to say I don't like how, because of that standard y'all just said. I don't like the fact that they still give these other. Not saying they shouldn't, because they should. They're part of the career. They're part of the resumes. Other nationalities are part of this sport. But at the same time, when the opportunity is presented, the way they display themselves and cry about, oh, we're gonna fight my hometown. I'm the A side, you the B side. How you gonna get paid? I'm not taking that much. Do you think that's hurting them a little bit more in the situation? As I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is the way they portray themselves when it's finally time to have a black versus black matchup, or African American versus African American matchup. The way they carry themselves in the public, do you that I feel like that adds fuel to the fire on how they uphold the standard against us. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Do y'all agree with what I'm saying?
Ye- I do, but I think my follow up question would be, what black matchups did we not get, except for maybe like Shakur and Tank?
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. I can't even attest to that. I'm not gonna lie. Which ones we didn't get, I can't even attest to that. So
Cause I
to
think
to
we get them, but I think like a big thing with these promotional companies, I think they put it in these fighters' ears that black versus black fighters don't sell. Fight this Mexican, you get two different demographics. I think it's really mostly probably on the money risk, and then like you said, then when you talk about, oh, where are we gonna fight and all that, then it's like, man, F it, dog. Why even fight these black fighters if we're gonna have to go through that? Let's just keep fighting these Mexicans. Let's keep getting
right,
these
right,
paydays. The Floyd blueprint right there, because Floyd fought a whole bunch of a lot of people that had countries behind them, and that's what brought in the most revenue.
right. Which
Yeah,
is you can't argue with that. That the proof is in the pudding. That's facts. We can't argue with that at all. Floyd
yeah.
did.
But
Oh, he fought a bunch of people with
I,
countries.
hmm I think we get a lot. We getting Stephen Fulton versus Oshaki Foster. We getting
I love
Brian.
that one.
Yeah, man, that's an underrated fight right there.
mm-hmm.
Brian Norman versus Dev. We got Earl and Bud, even though it's like a few years overdue, in my opinion. We did eventually get that.
Floyd and Zab.
Floyd and Zab. I think they come around. Maybe they don't happen exactly when we want them, but eventually we get them, especially at that 154 division when we had Jermell fighting Tony Harrison fighting what's my dog Swift. What was his name? Goddamn, with the blonde hair and shit.
Oh, Jerry Hurd.
Jared Hurd, like 154. We
Yeah.
had a lot of good black on black rumbles up there. Heavyweight, we got a bunch. Uh I think at the lower weight classes, just so many. Well, we got a lot now, but I think before with so few names, they probably really didn't want to take that L to a black fighter early, because that's who gives us the biggest problem, right? I think black fighters give black fighters the biggest problem.
Right,
So,
right,
because you just seeing it coming up in the gym. Y'all know y'all coach and boss hog ex boxer, so we just know each other's style. So it's like, why fight? Why make that fight now until the money just ultimately right? I think that's the problem. They want the money to be perfect to fight another black fighter versus if it's like maybe like 80% there, go ahead and do it because the money's still good. They want it to be 100% right. They want everything in their favor before they take that risk.
right. And I agree with that. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I ain't got nothing else on that subject. I just that's some questions I've been had in my mind. You know what I'm saying? And now we got solid people on the panel, so I just wanted to make sure I get the get like the same out, not the same output, but get the questions out to make sure I'm not the only one thinking, that hey, we struggling to get certain things done as black fighters, and I do
Yeah.
understand that, held
Yeah.
to a different standard, and I feel like that kind of cripples us in a way. What it doesn't kind of it does. We held to a different standard, but at the same time, it's like I still want them guys. Like you say, we get in those fights, and we get them, later than we want. But at the same time, we still get it. But at the same time, I just feel like how I am. I want them to fight prime on prime. I don't want
Yeah.
one prime. I
Well,
don't want one
well,
three
well,
3 years early in prime and 1 4 years out of prime. I want to be prime on prime. But that's me. So, but at the same time, I get it. I get it. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah, I want that too, man. Shit.
but also I think also they also realize that black murderers row type thing, right? So sometimes some fighters may sit there and be like, man, they just trying to get me to fight him, so they can clear the path for this dude, right? I
Hmm.
think that's in the back of their mind too, right? Just to look at it from another perspective. Like, so let's say you got a division where, like, you got Lomachenko, right? He was at 135, and let's just say you had Tank Shakur, Keyshawn, all of them, right? And let's say they all signed the top rank. Where you'll see Lomachenko, he kind of fighting, who he fighting, and then they make all of them Tank Shakur and all of them fight each other, right? And I'm just saying hypothetically, they would make them all fight each other, get each other out the way to clear the path for Lomachenko to get to that top, right?
Yeah.
So they do that too, where you'll see promotional companies try to make the two gifted black fighters fight each other, get each other out the way. That fight, whoever loses goes down in the rankings, and that promising European or white or whatever he is fighter, Hispanic fighter, they move up. So, you see that a lot with Golden Boy too. You know what I mean? I mean, you look at PBC, a lot of their star fighters, a lot of them were signed to Golden Boy at one point, right? But I think just another perspective is that black murderers row. Uh, Baloo says he talk about boots. What exactly you want us to talk about boots? You want to talk about basically how they saying that he overrated? I don't think Boots overrated. I just think Boots need to fight names. That's just what I believe. Eddie Hearn is doing he's supposed to do as a promoter. Do I think he gonna give Boots the fights? No. I don't trust that white man with them green eyes. I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, we'll see. It's a perfect time for Eddie Hearn to capitalize on opportunities. Top rank is out the way. PBC is out the way. You still got Golden Boy, but Golden Boy, they do their own thing. So this is a perfect time for Eddie Hearn to try to capitalize on opportunity. So, what are y'all feeling about Boots? What is your makeup of Boots, right? Do you feel like Boots can be that face of boxing, or do you feel like, man, he just a hype job? Because I saw a
Yeah.
talk show and they said that basically he a hype job. So anybody want to go first? Let's talk about this Boots thing.
I'll shoot first on this one. Boots is definitely not a high job, and when we talk about Boots, it's hard to tell. It's hard to answer the question, could he be the face of boxing? Because that's more like right now that talk and him becoming the face of boxing is more like a passing of the torch thing. He's gonna need that fight, and it's only one guy who can get him the torch right now. It's only one guy, and that guy ain't gonna entertain him right now. There's no reason why. We spoke on this before. There's no reason Bud should be entertaining a Boots right now, because what Bud has done in his career thus far, it doesn't equate to him not even stepping down. It doesn't equate to him stepping backwards to take that risk to fight a Boots. So I think Boots, again, like you said earlier, he's gonna have to create his own path. He gonna have to take the scenic route to become the face of boxing. He might not do it until the last 3 years, maybe the tail end of his career. But at the same time, if he wants to be the face of boxing, like now immediately, that's the passing of the torch thing. There's only one guy that's gonna help him create that, and that's Bud Crawford. If he finds another way, if there's another way, I could be wrong. But at the same time, like I say, the passing of the torch, that ship is kind of sailed on Boots. Do I think he's a hype job? No, he's just gonna Boots is somebody we're gonna have to watch for a long time to finally say, okay, I give him the credit. I give him the respect. That guy's finally the face of boxing. We're gonna be watching Boots a long time, especially if he sticks around Eddie Hearn. If he continues to stick around Eddie Hearn, he not gonna get the names. He not gonna get the fights. The timing gonna be off. Eddie Hearn gonna sell the other side short regardless, because he's not a guy about losing his money. He's not about losing the money. He got a closed, tight fist. So if Boots continues to operate with Eddie Hearn, we're gonna be watching Boots a long time before we finally say that guy finally did it. He's the face of boxing. Am I saying I'm 100% right? No, but like I say, the passing of the torch, that's kind of in Crawford's hand. That's up to Crawford to help Boots actually get, tossed to the forefront and say, hey, that man is the face of boxing. There, I don't think there's nobody else Boots can go and fight right now to make him the face of boxing. Like I said, he's gonna have to run the gauntlet. That's one of those guys that's gonna have to do it the old school way, and he gonna have to stand on it. He gonna have to be behind it. He gonna have to know this ride gonna get a little bumpy. It's gonna get a little chippy. It's gonna get windy. It's gonna be rain. It's gonna be sunny. He gonna have to understand that with Boots. He gonna have to take the scenic route, and he'll have to do it himself. Because, like I said, there's no reason for Bud to entertain a Boots, especially at this point in his career. Bud should only be thinking about two things: it's either retiring or wait for somebody else to collect the belts and say, "Hey, I'm the guy. I'm the face. I want your belts. I'm trying to do it 4 times." And we already know after what he said recently, I got my eyes on you. He talking to Janibek. You know what I'm saying? So again, with Boots, I love Boots as a fighter. I love how he moves as a person sometimes. It's just that he's stuck between the rock and the hard place right now. And that ship that was gonna get him to the forefront is sailing away fast. But yeah, I probably feel different about it. But at the same time, Huncho, what you got?
Yeah. I right now I think it's hard for me to say Boost is overrated, but when I'm looking at his record, the
Right,
guy has almost 40 fights,
right.
and his biggest name to date is a guy that had 15 fights in what the hell was his name? The Eastern European dude he
And
just beat up. Stanionis. That is your biggest fight
right,
in 40 fights. I think Boots has gotten comfortable with getting paid to not really fight nobody. And I respect the hustle. If they're gonna pay you to beat up these dudes
right,
and you get paid 3-4 million, why not? Boots is he's probably top 15 or top 10 most paid boxers right now. And he ain't fought nobody. It's hard for me to tell, but I want to say that the Bud fight was there at a point in time, but him and his daddy said we were loyal to Showtime at the time. We weren't gonna go over to Black Prime. So that was the opportunity there. So now, in terms of like the passing the torch situation, I think, like you said, he got to go through the gauntlet because Benavidez kind of just put himself in a position where it's like, okay,
Right.
you didn't beat Caleb Plant, you didn't beat Boo Boo, you didn't beat Durrell. Then it's like, okay, he damn near cleared the division. So it's like, okay, Canelo, he didn't put in the leg work. Boots ain't put in no leg work to get a
Right.
Bud fight. Is it a good fight? We'd have to see. I think Boots gets stopped in that fight. But is it a fight we all kind of want to see just because Boots has been tagging his name along to Bud and Earl for like 3-4 years now? I remember on that call he said I called out Bud in 2018. Called out Bud in 2018. I think we all can agree that would have been a terrible move for Boots, but I think he's been attached, which is I think it's smart business wise. You attach your name to the biggest names, and that's how you get known, and that's kind of where Boots is. So I think Boots needs to step up and fight these fights. Turkey said he got the fights for him. When you don't want tune-ups, come holler at me. So money ain't really an issue. So if
Right.
money ain't really an issue for a guy, and he's having but him and Eddie are selling us the public that hey, these guys don't want to fight us. But you have a guy that Eddie has a history of working with that then made plenty of fights. But now you on another screen when it's just y'all two, and it's just Eddie and Boots at the press conference. They're saying nobody wants to fight Boots. Then I'm starting to look at it a little bit funny. You have 40 fights. You and your promoter said nobody want to fight you, but the money man in boxing right now that done put on Brian Norman and Haney, a name that Boots was supposed to fight, Brian Norman, right? That fight was supposed to happen, but Boots all of a sudden said, my doctor said I'm not performing at 100%. So I got a move up, but just 2 weeks prior, he said I make 147 earlier. It's just way too many stories. Like things just ain't adding up. And then when I look at the record, I can't be like, okay, nah, but he's fighting names. So it's just too many things is going wrong for me to say Boots is just 100% the guy. You feel me? So I
Right.
feel like guys like Jamel Charlo will give Boots hell because Jamel Charlo's I think the kryptonite for Boots is just being a boxer, right? I
Mhm.
think come forward guys, Boots is gonna get you up out of there.
Mhm.
If you want to brawl with Boots, you're gonna get up out of there. But I think if you got good fundamentals, I think you can give Boots problems. Yeah, that's my take on it though.
Right. I agree with that.
I agree with everything both of y'all said. I think Boots, it's a lot of question marks around him. We see the talent, we see the skill, but it's a lot of question marks. It's the what if. It's a lot of what ifs, right? And I've said this, the whole Crawford situation, he don't need to be mentioning his name. He ain't did nothing, right? And even Crawford, I saw a video earlier today where Crawford addressed that. He said, look, we fight nothing alike. Everybody trying to put us together because he switches and I switches, but we fight nothing alike. I do agree. They fight nothing alike, right? Boots can throw switch by throwing combinations. Crawford comes out the corner, southpaw, come out the corner orthodox, right? They fight nothing alike, two different IQs, two different experiences in the boxing game. And I think right now, Crawford will beat Boots. I think he'll beat Boots because of experience. But Boots definitely has the talent, but I think he'll do what a young fighter does. He'll think he'll have Bud hurt and try to go for the gusto, and that's where Bud will catch him. That's what I believe. But um, I think Boots needs to focus on building his own legacy without mentioning Bud's name. That's what I believe. And like King Larry said, Boots just came up at the wrong time. He came up at the time where Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford are they on the tail end of their careers, right? And he's trying to call their name out and get these fights. He's trying to get a Bud fight. And, I think he needs to focus on fighting a Charlo, fighting a Bakaram Murtazalov, Mr. Allah Akbar. He need to fight those names, Sebastian Fundora, um, those guys. And if he can run through those names, he could create a little lane for himself. Now, will he make these fights under Eddie Hearn? I don't know. But you got Mr. Turkey Combs over there. He willing to drop that bread. and PBC fighters go fight anywhere. So I think that if Turk dropped that bread, and all these fights could be made. I saw something. I wouldn't put no stock in it because Eddie Hearn say a lot of things. Where Eddie Hearn was saying that basically they're gonna try to fight Bakram Murtazayev, and hey, if he's able to make that fight happen, that's brilliant, right? But to me, it's just a lot of they're using his name and tying it to people. That's what they're doing, and it's the oldest trick in promoting, right? I'm gonna take his name. Hey, Boots, we're gonna try to get a fight with him and Floyd Mayweather, or him and this person, right? To try to keep Boots' name relevant. But it's like real boxing heads are not fooled by that. We didn't seen this before. It's time for him to fight them names. It's time for him to fight them dogs, right? If Virgil Ortiz beat Erickson Lubin, hey, it's time for him to make that fight. That's a big fight. That's that black versus Hispanic, right? That could be a crossover fight. That could take him to that next level, right? So, you know, that's a bigger fight for Boots if Boots fights Virgil Ortiz. I don't think Boots versus Erickson Lubin would be a big fight. It'll be a respectable fight, but I don't think it's a mega fight in boxing like Boots versus Virgil Ortiz. So I just think he need to focus on that. I don't believe he a hype job. I just think that, is we just ready for him to fight people. Y'all got anything else?
Yeah, with Boots, right, signing to guys like Eddie, because I know you touched on it, right, when you were like, especially with Bud, when Bud didn't sign to PBC and all, that's where all the names were, but he decided to re-sign with Top Rank. And I think it's the same thing with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn does not have a track record of building any black fighter in America. Yes, he's good at building UK fighters, but what has he done with black American fighters? Boo Boo, nothing. Shakur, nothing. I'll give him, he got Richardson Hitcherson, a Cambosos fight. But I mean, if that's his biggest name as of late, I mean, that you don't really had a track record of building any black fighters. So why did Boots go and sign with Eddie Hearn? That's not where any of the smoke is. That's
Right.
not where Brian Norman was. That's not where any of the 147 guys were. And now he's at 154. I'm pretty sure 154, all the champs were with PBC, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he's making moves to not align himself to where the fighters are and he's choosing to go get the bag, right? I don't know if I can 1K get down with it. And then you got a guy like Turkey who is saying, I have the fights for you, but for some reason now him and Eddie, now they're just doing the zone fights, or I don't know, or matchroom fights. They're not fighting under what that shit called, Riyadh season. Now Eddie done made put plenty of his fighters on Riyadh season, but now Boots is fighting on matchroom specifically, not Riyadh season. So one, you sign with Eddie Hearn, who has no history of fighting black fighters. Two, you don't go partner with Riyadh season to go fight those dangerous fights. You say, nah, let's keep it in house. Let's keep it in Philly. You feel me? I don't even think they're doing a good job building this brand. Why you ain't fighting New York? Why you ain't go fight in Vegas or Texas? He's getting stuck. He's having home court advantage in every scenario. So I'm not saying Boots is overrated because I think he is talented, but I do not think Boots is what they're trying to tell us he is. I do think he's a good fighter, though I think he's an all-time fighter. It's hard for me to say. I don't think you can go. I don't. I've never seen a guy with 40 fights with no names. I've never seen this in my life. I can't like Devin Haney got 32 fights and he got a bunch of names and he's younger than him. Tank got names on him and he's like I think he's a year older than Boots. Shakur got more names than him. These are all guys that are younger than him. They got more names. Who is Boots? But they're telling us Boots is the next Roy Jones. It's just I firmly believe where there's smoke, there's fire. And you're telling me a guy got 40 fights but ain't fought nobody. I think maybe I don't know if it's Camp that's seeing something, not his team that's seeing something, and they want to try to plug in them gaps before he fights somebody. But this next fight is gonna tell us a lot. And if Boots goes and fights another name we don't want to see, I think we got to call a spade a spade.
I agree. I agree. It's been too long. And like I say, I already touched on the point of we're gonna have to watch Boots a long time before he even get mentioned in the likes of the greatest of his generation or pound for pound or any of those, top notch titles you can earn in the sport of boxing because at 40 fights, like you said, the names aren't there. And I seen somebody in the comment section say he doesn't have the it factor. I agree with that too. He just don't have the it factor. And I don't say that's a whole part of the reason because if you look at Bud, he really didn't have the it factor in the eye of the public, but at the same time, he kept going, and he finally got there. But we knew Bud was eventually gonna get there. But with Boots, it's like there's too many question marks, there's too many gray areas with Boots. And I love Boots fighter, but at the same time, at this point, like you said, we got to call a spade a spade. Is Boots really that guy? Yes, he pops out on the screen because he does something in the ring we haven't seen in a long time, and he does it at a high, consistent rate. But at the same time, you doing stuff at a high, consistent rate against who? The resume, the names that Boots got to get the names. And like you say, his next fight, if he fight another unknown guy that came out of the blue, out of the woodworks in the last 6 months to a year, bro, we just gotta hang it up with Boots. I don't want to. I'm gonna still watch Boots because it's something we probably won't see in the ring again for a long time. But at the same time, I'm just watching. I'm gonna watch Boots for Boots. I'm not watching Boots to see if he's gonna be great. I'm not watching Boots to see if he's gonna be the face of boxing. I'm not watching Boots to see if he's gonna be the next elite fighter. We can say, hey, we got our next black fighter or whatever the case may be. We just gonna be watching Boots to watch Boots because Boots on TV. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm with you, Huncho, 100%. Like Turkey is telling you, we can get the fights, we can get the money, but we're not gonna sit here and let you fight on Riyadh season and you continue to fight, you know, Ikaman Akule, who came out of the woodwork from a third world country that we didn't even know he fought. And he was a karate fighter before he became a boxer. We're not gonna watch you fight guys like that because you're at the point. You're at 40 fights, my guy. 40. 40. You had 40 professional fights. At this point in time, in most top-notch elite fighter face of boxing careers, they have fought at least 3 names to at least put them in an argument. Boots is nowhere near the argument because he just doesn't have the names. Like I say, the talent is there, the skill is there, the power, the IQ, the subtle charisma he has. It's all there, but at the same time, you doing it against guys who really hasn't earned any stripes or hasn't put a stamp on the sport of boxing.
And guys are calling out Boots. Like this is, it's not like guys aren't calling out Boots. Guys are pulling Boots card out right now. Tio wanted to fight him. What happened with that? Haney wanted to fight him. Why are you offering Devin Haney, a guy we just seen at his most vulnerable, a 152 fight? I don't care if you can't perform at 100%. The way we saw Haney perform against in New York against Ramirez and how we saw him fight against Ryan, you go in there, you fight Devin Haney 70%. I don't care.
Right.
We saw Earl Spence go and fight Mikey Garcia,
Yep.
right? This is a guy with name and accolades coming to fight Earl.
Yep.
People are saying Earl can't box. He showed Mikey, I'm a better boxer than you. That's like, where's that competitive spirit? Like Earl goes in the ring and he does what you like to do in the ring to show you you're not even fucking with me at what you do. Did that with Sean Porter, did that with Mikey Garcia. I'm not seeing that with Boots. Boots is just okay with being a flashy guy against average guy. I think Boots even play a little bit too much in the ring sometimes. The last dude he got him up out of there for sure. But
Right.
Boots got too many instances of looking in the crowd in Philly, seeing where Gillian Wallow at, not looking at his dad dancing in the ring. Like I feel like we done gave Boost too much and without him really doing nothing. So I think that'll come back to bite him in the butt. I do think if you move Boost the right way and put him in these competitive fights earlier, it would have built him a certain way. But now if I think you throw him in there with a dog and it gets into deep water, I don't know I don't know how Boost swim. You feel me? I don't know how he swim if a dude in his face after he done hit him with his best shot. I'm curious to see how Boost react to that.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I think like you mentioned that Charlo fight, he getting there with dudes that's not playing with him. You can't do that dancing stuff in there with a Charlo. You know, a Charlo, even a Bakram Murtazalev. Although Bakram Murtazalev is slow, he's a good counter puncher, right? And Boots is not a good defensive fighter. Okay, he's a very good offensive fighter. I won't say his defense is bad, but he looks to be more offensive before defense. So what I'm saying is just like he can do that with a Lima Bean. He can do that with uh, uh, I won't say Karen because Karen he struggled with Karen, but Stanionis, he can play around and do stuff like that with them. But when you getting in there with Charlo, Sebastian Fundora, Baccarat Murtazalev, you know, Virgil Ortiz, guys like that, you're not gonna be able to play in there. You need to be locked in, switched on, or you're gonna be laying on the ground looking at the ceiling while this dude on the ropes with his hands raised. You know, I just think that Boots, man, I think there's some truth to what Brian Norman Sr. said. He don't believe in himself like others believe in him. I think there's a little bit of self doubt there. And I think that, you know, like you said, Huncho, if they would have brought him up in a sense to where he was able to face tough competition, then he'll be ready for the moment. I don't feel like now he's ready for the moment, right? And I think they're trying to get him ready for the moment and get him ready for these big fights. That's why he needed a tune up to, fight before he fights Virgil Ortiz, Erickson Lubin winner, right? When you look at all the other greats who came up from other weight classes, they went straight to the smoke, right? They didn't go and I need, they went straight to the smoke. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that unless they were coming off a long layoff, like Andre Ward was coming off a long layoff, he was moving up in weight, so he had to acclimate, right? Because they wanted him to fight Kovalev. So that was HBO's plan to get him. So he I'm signed with Rock Nation. I just signed with them. Let me acclimate. But a lot of guys, man, when they move up, they going straight to the smoke. You know what I mean? And Boots, from what he's a showsman. From what we see, he should have just went straight to the Virgil Ortiz fight, but he didn't. Right? So I just think that there's some truth to maybe he don't believe in himself. Uh, like he's saying. That maybe there's a reason why he didn't fight the Brian Norman fight. Maybe there's a reason why he didn't take the TO or the Devin Haney fight. Maybe he felt like I don't think I can beat these guys. You know, because maybe he like, hey, these small dudes they move up, they beat me. That's gonna hurt me. That's gonna hurt my brand. That's gonna hurt everything I built. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, those are good fights. Those are good crossover fights for you. Fight Teofimo. I wanted him to fight Teofimo. I want him to beat the beans, rice, potatoes out of Teofimo Lopez because Teofimo was on that racist stuff around that time. So, hey, what a perfect guy to fight Teofimo. But,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, I don't think that confidence was there. Right? And in boxing, Coach B noticed, I don't care how much talent you all have. If you don't believe in yourself, it don't matter. You could have the greatest coach in your corner. You could have all the skills, all the attributes. If you don't believe in yourself in that ring, it don't matter. And I just think he don't 100% have that confidence to beat certain guys yet. That's what I think. I'm not saying he won't never have it. I'm just saying I don't think he don't have that confidence yet. I mean, is that something y'all see or am I tripping?
Yeah. So I mean, if he doesn't see it now at 29 years old, it's very hard for me to believe you develop that in your 30s as a boxer when you're nearing the damn near the end of your real prime. And I don't know if y'all knew, but Clarissa Shields, I think when they were talking about T.O. calling him out, I think she mentioned like because Boots is the same age, he's like in the same era as the T.O.s. He came up around the same time. I think he went pro maybe around the same time, but he wasn't really the guy in the amateurs. It was the T.O.s, it was the Shakurs. Boots kind of fell under the radar and kind of started making a name for himself. in the pro. So I don't know if that kind of plays in his psyche, knowing, damn, I was in these tournaments with these type of guys, and these were really the guys. I wasn't really the guy. And he kind of developed into that. But that was a little telling for me when she said that, like, hey, like Boots wasn't really the guy coming up. It was the TOs. They were the talented guys, not really Boots. So I know the amateurs don't mean everything, but that kind of stood out and it don't help his case why he not fighting nobody now. So
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, Gary Antoine Russell did beat Boots in the amateurs.
Gary
But
Antoine Russell, there. I think he a great fighter, but nobody really has Gary Antoine Russell in the, like they don't really talk about him like he's that. I think he's a, if you know, you know, but he beat Boots, so that, I mean, shit. And he still wants smoke with Boots. He said when I go to 147, me and Boots got to make it happen. So these guys ain't really fearing Boots because I think they seen Boots younger. They know they already seen Boots. They know he's all right, but they don't think he's that. They don't think he's as special as they trying to make the casuals think he is.
Right.
Jay Will, we are not talking about Terrence Crawford. We talking about Boots. Stop bringing up Terrence Crawford. We're not talking about him, bro. His man said, talking about when I said Boo was out of his prime at 38, y'all was saying he not at the end of his prime. We talking about Boots, Jay Will. We not talking about Terrence Crawford. You know what I mean? I don't I don't know why you brought him up. We talking about Boots. Okay. We'll do a live next time. We'll talk about Terrence Crawford all you want to, but we not talking about Crawford today. Okay. We mentioned him. You know what I'm saying? We mentioned him, but you know, we ain't really honed in on him today. Understood Boss Man said Boots coming to the end of his prime at 30. I didn't say he coming to the end of his prime. I said he doesn't believe in himself. Or I guess Huncho probably said that. Cause I
Yeah,
ain't
I
said
mean, yeah, you ain't say that, but I'm saying for most boxers, I mean, you got outliers. Like just because Bud is doing it, just because LeBron is doing it, that don't mean it's the rule. That's the exception. You feel me? Like most of these guys ain't really moving like that when they like 34, 30. Most ain't. Most ain't Usyk, most ain't Crawford. You feel me? Look at AJ getting his ass whooped in his early 30s. I know he wasn't a guy like that, but with the early 30s, I mean, it's a lot of boxers down for him. But what I wanted to talk about Lamont Roach and Pitbull, man. I don't know if y'all want to still keep talking about Boost, but I do want to touch that before we call it a night. I want to know
yeah.
what y'all think.
Yeah, we can
They
talk
fighting in
about
your
that.
state, man. They fighting in Texas, man.
Yeah, I might go to that fight. I love the fight. I really do. Yeah, I think it's gonna be an action-packed fight. Um, yeah, I'm kind of torn because on one hand I'm like Lamont got it, right? But then on another hand I'm like Pitbull dangerous, right? But I think they fighting at 40,
40.
and Pitbull is not really, in my opinion, he ain't as explosive as he is at 35. So I look at it as because they're 40, it's a 50-50 fight. It's a toss up to me, right? I see ways that Pitbull can get Lamont, but I also see ways Lamont can keep Eastside Pitbull Cruz at bay and outbox him or even stop possibly. But it's a good scrap. You know what I mean? In my opinion, it's a good scrap. I'm 50-50 on it. I see
Yeah.
ways Pitbull Cruz can win. I see ways Lamont Rose can win. Every day I think about it, my prediction changes. I think me and Coach, we did a video on our channel Clutch Factory, and I picked Eastside People Cruz. But then when I sit back and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, Lamont can do this, he can do that. Eastside People Cruz throws a lot of wide punches. He don't throw straight punches, right? He kind of lunges in and just throws wide hooks, right? So Lamont can really just go down the pint with him and keep moving and outbox him and change him and turn him, right? So it's very, very. For me, it's difficult. But what you think, Coach?
I'm about growth. I'm about growth. We seen, Pitbull fight Tank, right? It kind of it went good for a little bit, but then a few fights after the Tank fight with Pitbull Cruz, it started going south. He started taking L's. He started being, able to. Well, he was always easily predictable in the ring because number one, he don't have a jab. He need to add some kind of jab to his fight plan. But anyways, like I say, I'm about growth. We seen what Pitbull did after the loss to Tank. It kind of helped him in a way, but a couple more fights down the road, as they tried to keep moving him up in competition, he started to take L's. He had to scale back. Then we see him have the fight with Fierro, and it was kind of like, Pitbull, you fought Tank. You fought. To me, in my opinion, that's probably one of the tougher fights that Tank had in his career. But now you back to struggling with a Fierro, a guy that we really don't know about. Not too many people know about a Fierro. Then you lose to El Rayo. Then you get in there and you struggle with, I forgot that his next opponent, he struggled with him, but he ended up getting the win. But at the same time, it's like Lamont Roach, you've been in the ring with Tank. You fought Tank to a draw. How did you grow out of that fight? I mean, Tank is one of the names we can't run from it. Tank is one of the names that's mentioned as one of the greats in this era. Same thing with him. He just need more names on his resume. But at the same time, I'm about growth. So in this fight, we get to see two guys who've been in the ring with Tank. Which guy is more equipped to take that next step forward? And honestly, as I look at this fight, I'm gonna have to roll with Lamont Roach in this fight because, like I say, Lamont Roach, if you know boxing, he's not new to the block. He's been around the block. He's in the talks of that DMV area, being one of the top notch competitors in that DMV area with Pitbull Cruz. Is like stylistically, it's a good matchup, but I think Lamont Roach has a little bit more experience, and not only that, he has more tools in his bag to beat a Pitbull Cruz. I like the fight. I really like the fight. I like the matchup because really, in my opinion, I think that's going to be a fight of which guy lands the more clear, crisp, concise punches. Because both of them, they're going to get in there, and both of them have styles to where they kind of sit still and they don't move too much. So it's going to be one of those fights where, okay, which guy is landing the more concise shots. And I think Lamont Roach is going to win in that category because he can pick his shots and he can land his shots, and he can also have timing behind his shots. With Pitbull Cruz, is kind of like swing for the fences, and I hope some of these hooks and overhands and these uppercuts land. And if they don't, guess what? That's how I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out on my shield. I'm gonna go out swinging. So with that being said, that's enough for me to go ahead and lean towards Lamont Roach. And then again, like
Mhm.
I like this fight. I like this fight a lot. But at the same time, I'm about the growth in this fight. I'm gonna lean towards Lamont Roach, but I do want to see how both these guys can continue to evolve themselves after being involved with a name like Tank. Both of y'all been in there. Lamont Roach, you looking to take the next step in the eye of the public, which I don't, y'all know how I am when it comes to fighters caring about the public. But at the same time, Lamont Roach, he hanging on the Tank's coattail about this draw. So go out there against somebody else Tank has fought, beat him almost in the same manner that Tank did. And then maybe we can start giving you some genuine respect on your name, which I already respect him because I know who he is, been around the block, like I said. And with Pitbull, he's looking to get back in the favor of the fans. He's looking to continue to step in the right direction because he took a couple steps forward, then he stayed still, then he took a couple steps back. So he needs a notable win to get himself back in the favor, and they keep giving Pitbull Cruz opportunities. So I think this is an opportunity for him to get himself in a solidified state to go back to doing what he was doing. So again, I like this fight, but right now looking at it from the outside in before we put them in the ring with each other, I'm gonna lean towards Lamont Roach.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Coach. With the Lamont Roach, I think he's just peaking at the right time. I think Pitbull's in a good place too. He just won his last fight, so I mean, I don't think there's any lack of confidence, and I think what's his name? He just lost to Antoine Russell. He beat Pitbull. I forgot his name. Shit.
El Rayo.
El Rayo. Yeah, he kind of put the blueprint out there to to beat Pitbull. I think he did it the most convincingly, even out of Tank. I think El Rayo did it the most convincingly, put out the blueprint. Uh, so I think Amaro's definitely got a good chance. But to your last point, when you were like they keep giving Pitbull chances, that goes to I think the first thing we talked about with the black fighters getting held to a specific standard. The
Right.
Mexicans, they can lose endless fights. They're gonna keep putting you in there. I can't I can't name one black fighter that can lose as much as Pitbull and still get opportunity after opportunity. And then look at Ryan. I think y'all saw Ryan's gonna go ahead and fight for a title at 147 against Mario Barrios for the title after losing to Rolly. That's just how the cookie crumbled. But back to Lamont Roach. I think he's doing a good job positioning himself after Tank. It's only natural. Tank's the biggest name in the sport. You're gonna keep you're gonna ride that for a little bit. But he's been pretty quiet about it lately. And I think he's just gonna think it's just build your own career after this. I think he's positioning himself to maybe get a big fight in with Antoine Russell. I think he called out the little brother when Gary Russell called him out. He was like, "Nah, I want Antoine. He the champ. I don't fight dudes that's not the champ." So I think if he gets this fight, I think that's probably the most logical next step. Get a big fight in DC, bring it home. And yeah, I think he positioning himself in the right way. Uh 50, I think 55, 45, 55, 45. Yeah, that's my take.
I think if he beat Isak, he need to stay far away from Gary Antoine Russell. That's my opinion. I, I get it. It's DC is big for it. It's gonna bring a lot of money,
Hmm.
but I'm just saying Gary Antoine Russell gonna stop uh Lamont Roach. I think the
Wow.
only winnable fight at 40 for him, if he stay at 40, is maybe Richardson Hitchens. And that's if Richardson Hitchens don't move up because he want to move up to fight the winner of Haney and Norman.
Mm-hmm.
Not Tio.
So
You don't think it could be Tio?
it I would say he do. It just depends on Tio's mental.
Yeah.
If Tio come in there like locked in, no. But you never know what Tio female you're gonna get.
With
That's
Tio. Hmm.
that's my thing. It's like he'll be sharp one fight, then another fight he look like he don't know how to box. He look like he don't know how to cut the ring off. He look like he don't know what a jab is. He just lacks something. But then he'll have a fight where he crosses and checks all the boxes, and you like, damn,
Yeah.
that was a good performance. So I just think the inconsistency of Teofimo, you don't know what you're gonna get.
I think with Lamont, I think when you look at Tio career, I mean, Tio a great fighter. Don't get me wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
Tio's another guy. He's never fought a black fighter, and every time he should get in there, black fighter. He calls out a black fighter. What does he do? He doesn't fight a black fighter. He attaches his name to black fighters and then go fight somebody else. He does this to buzz his name around, and then he go and fight somebody else, like with Shakur. He keeps giving us the runaround with Shakur. I mean, Shakur's willing to move up 140, but then you got Tio going to Twitter or Instagram saying, "Should I fight Manny Pacquiao or Shakur?" So he's just kind of an unserious type dude. But I think Lamont done been. I think he came up around the same time. Uh, I do think. I think that fight does probably end in somebody getting knocked down. The Antoine Russell Lamont Roach fight, just because when two black fighters get in the ring, it's damn near like two pit bulls. It's just something going on where somebody hitting the floor. But usually I don't know because Antoine didn't stop Rayo, even though he beat the hell out of Rayo. Rayo stayed in there for 12. So
Mm-hmm.
I think Lamont can see the bell because I think Lamont's a better boxer than Rayo. I think he's smarter than Rayo, so I think he can see the bell. But I do like Antoine in that fight. But we got to see the fight, boss. Ain't no stand away from nobody. This a new era in boxing. It feel like we getting all the fights we want to see except for Boots. Boots is the only one that's not hopping on the train, not hopping on the ship. We got Devin fighting Brian Norman, moved up, fought the most dangerous guy. Shakur willing to move up to 140, fight the most dangerous guy. So I think this is the new era of boxing. I think the O isn't as needed. I don't think everybody's tweaking as much about it right now. So I think this is the right time to make these fights happen.
Yeah, I agree. We I had spoke about that retiring with undefeated record. It's not likely. If you doing what you're supposed to do and you beating the people who you're supposed to meet at the right time, eventually you can hang that retiring with I think a lot of these fighters in this generation, a lot of them gonna lose. Like even with Devin Haney, I can't complain with Devin Haney if he get in there and he lose to a Shakur. I can't complain about a Devin Haney if he get in there and he lose to a Tank or a Teofimo. Those are guys he's supposed to be fighting, and those are 50-50 fights. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, that retiring with that undefeated record, they need to let that go. And I'm hoping and praying that the sport of boxing really go ahead and get with the program and just realize, all right, look, if I'm gonna be the greatest, if I'm gonna be the pound for pound best, if I'm be undisputed, if I want to be unified, I'm gonna have to fight this guy. And if I happen to lose, to one of these guys in the midst of me trying to be great, then it is what it is. At least I got in there and I gave the guy I'm supposed to be fighting a run for his money. And at the end of the day, we can sit down, we can talk shit at the end of our careers and say, hey, we fought each other. And the best man won that night. A lot of guys want to hang on to that. I'm undefeated and politic their way to the top. But I'm hoping, just like you said, Honcho, we in a new era. I talk about this with K-Po all the time. I can't wait till some of these old heads die off with this undefeated stuff. Because like I said before, if you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're at the top of the sport, you eventually gonna run into somebody that's gonna give you some hell. And whether you win or lose, hey, it's the sport. It's the sport of boxing. You supposed to want to be in there with a guy that can actually challenge you and push you to the brink of losing. And that's how we know if we watching an elite pound for pound fighter. That's how we know if we watching a true champion or a true undisputed, unified champion. That's how we know. And we only gonna get that. We only gonna get to see that if we continue to push as fans and do what we supposed to do in the sport of boxing. And like I say, I'm not too big on Turkey, but at the same time, he finally get with the program on putting out the right fights with the right fighters. Because when he first started, I ain't like it at all. And I still don't like him too much. But at the same time, he's starting to take a step in the right direction. I don't know who mentoring him. I don't know who's helping him out, but whoever's doing it, continue to help that man. Because if he gonna be the savior, he needs to be the savior in the right way. Don't just give us fights just because you got money. We don't care for the entertainment, the concerts, and all the circus stuff you give us. In between. But at the same time, just continue, on the little path you've been on. Your last couple cards you put together, and I believe we'll start seeing the fighters fight each other that we're supposed to see.
Already, man. We reached the end, man. J5 Huncho, you got any last words, man? We still in this one 2 cents. Any last words?
Okay, man. The new era of boxing. Let's keep pushing for the fights, man. I think YouTube is definitely the new media for the boxing. I think we got the power to make it happen. We get enough dudes on it, get enough people talking, we can do it. So I like coming on here with y'all, man, getting game from y'all and just talking boxing and, getting new ideas and seeing where we can improve. But I appreciate y'all for having me on, man.
No
Yes,
problem.
sir. Yes, sir.
We're gonna go live every Saturday, so between 7 and 9. So it might be 7 p.m., it might be 9 p.m. So if you're free, man, you always welcome to jump on the panel, pause, and talk that boxing talk.
Hell yeah. Central time, I'd assume, right? Because both y'all in Texas, or?
Yeah.
Okay, for sure that, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a good night.
All right, you too, Honcho.
All right.
Like me and Coach say, man, tell everybody about this. Tell your mama, your grandma, your auntie, your boss. You know what I'm saying? Go over there to Cliffs Factory, run it up, man. You know what I'm saying? We talk that boxing talk over there. You know what I mean? Jay will be over there in the comment section. Nah, Jay will my partner, man. You know what I'm saying? We talk trash to each other. Coach B, he getting to know Jay Will Paul. So, they had their little encounters, man. It's all love. Jay Will, next week, bro, come on the panel, man. Pause. You know what I mean? Jump on the panel, man. You know what I mean? We're going to talk that boxing talk. But y'all remember, man, tell everybody about us, man. I pray for everybody. Peace be among everybody. I'm out of here.